Welcome to Asian Pulse, and I'm your host Manveer Randhawa. Today we are broadcasting from traditional unceded territories of Kwantlen, Silvertooth, and Squamish Nation. Autumn is finally upon us, and so is the rain and Halloween, also called All Saints' Eve. The observance began in the early Christian years, dedicated to remembering the dead, including the saints, martyrs, and all who departed. It was Irish and Scottish immigrants who took many customs to North America in 19th century. And from there it goes on to the rest of the world in 20th and 21st century. Halloween as we know now is a fun evening full of sweets and harmless fright. Whether you're trick or treating or looking for a few thrills in the form of a haunted house, you can enjoy these festivities but stay safe. For parents who take their children out for trick or treating, make sure to wear reflective jackets so that cars can see you. Our Asian Pulse team wish you all a very happy and spooky Halloween. We'll be right back after these words from our sponsors.
I understand how important it is to have a place called home, and it's frustrating using your hard-earned money on rent. Vic Prasad can make you a homeowner. Get pre-approved services provided to first-time buyers and new immigrants. You can qualify for mortgage even if you have bad credit. Call Vic Prasad now on 604-306-6647. Vic Prasad is associated with Craft Mortgages Canada Incorporated. I understand how important it is to have a place called home, and it's frustrating using your hard-earned money on rent. Vic Prasad can make you a homeowner. Get pre-approved services provided to first-time buyers and new immigrants. You can qualify for mortgage even if you have bad credit. Call Vic Prasad now on 604-306-6647. Vic Prasad is associated with Craft Mortgages.
For astrology service, life horoscope, and fortune telling, marriage problem, love problem, divorce problem, money problem, personal or business, all types of puja and havan. Call Pandit Lakshminath Guruji 1604-849-4872, serving Alberta and BC.
Arvind's Curry and Cocktail, Indian cuisine. They do catering for all occasions and they do free delivery. Please call 604-515-1070. Address is 420 6th Street, New Westminster. Open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. For deliveries, call 604-515-1070 or arvindscurry.com.
Thank you, sponsors. If you would like to highlight your business on the show, please email us at asianpulse@gmail.com. In our last episode, we were talking about October as Women's History Month. So today, we have in our studio an inspiring woman, Eleanor Struco, MLA from South Surrey, who just got re-elected as an MLA with BC Liberal Party. If you all remember her, she used to be a very regular guest on our show as a spokesperson for Surrey RCMP team. Let's have a look.
Hello and welcome to Asian Pulse. My guest today is no stranger on our set and on this show. We have always chatted with her in a uniform, and that is she used to be the spokesperson for the RCMP in Surrey, and she used to come and talk about Halloween safety and drinking and driving during Christmas time and all these different time of the year when we have issues. Then we always invite Eleanor Struco to come into the studios and talk and educate the community on what we need to do, what we can do, and what we can't. So that was another hat that she was wearing until a month ago when she got elected as a MLA with the Liberal Party in South Surrey. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Camilla. This is actually my first studio interview since I've been elected. So thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here in the community on Asian Pulse.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And when I first found out that you were running, I just said to myself, oh my good, I know, you are pretty brave, but I think the election that you have ran for a couple months or even more than 4 months, 5 months, because you stepped down as a RCMP officer and took a leave of absence, right?
I did. I took a leave of absence starting when Stephanie Cadieux, the former MLA, when she resigned to go work for the federal government. And then after I was elected, I actually resigned. So I've taken my retirement early from the RCMP so that I could do this job. So I'm very happy. And, I have a lot of goals, and I know that people in my riding have a lot of goals for me. They want me to speak up about a lot of issues, and so I'm really looking forward to continuing to do that.
So I was going to talk to you. You went door knocking. All this time that you have been off work or taken leave, you were door knocking and trying to let people know who you are and what you are doing and who you're running for. What was the main issue when you knocked the door? What were the main issue in your riding?
I would say the main thing that people were concerned about is healthcare. And I think that healthcare is fundamental to, our well-being, of course, our health. But when you don't have your health, what do you have?
Nothing.
You don't have anything. And so I think for all people, whether they were people who were very affluent or whether we were talking about people who were not affluent, at every door, regardless of the person's background, health has been an ongoing and priority issue for everybody. We have 1 in 5 British Columbians still don't have access to a family doctor. And, people are really concerned. They don't see a lot of action, and they really want us to speak up and make sure that these issues get addressed.
So now the new hospital is being built somewhere in Cloverdale, I think. Do you think that maybe, or is it just a Band-Aid? You can set up a building here, but if you don't have nobody to fill in, the doctors, the nurses, everybody, the support team, what good is that?
Well, there's a couple of issues with the proposed hospital in Cloverdale. One of the significant things that people heard during the campaign is that Kevin Falcon wants to cancel the hospital. That's incorrect. We want to have great health available here for people in Surrey. We want to have a second hospital. One of the things that's key, though, is that the NDP have promised to get that hospital started next year for Surrey. That means shovels in the ground, construction started. But before this year, they actually didn't have any money allocated in the budget. And then after being hounded by the BC Liberals, they finally put money into the budget. But they only put so far $2 million in. And for anyone that knows how development works, $2 million is actually not even enough to get the initial drawings. They don't have even a sign up to say that the hospital is going to go there. So,
or the new site of this hospital.
Yeah, which is by Kwantlen Polytechnic University. So it's actually, if anyone knows Highway 10, there's Kwantlen, there's the cowboy boot store, and it's actually just south of Kwantlen where the new hospital is supposed to go. So you know what, they've promised to get things going, and I'm going to make sure that they don't break that promise. It's not enough just to keep on announcing. In fact, they've announced the hospital 7 times, but there's nothing done.
Yes.
And, people want to be able to have those services. So the reality is whether it is a full-scale hospital or whatever, cancer clinics and services that they have, for goodness sake, when you make a promise to deliver them, we just need to make sure that they get delivered, because people in not just South Surrey, where my riding is, but all over our city need healthcare. They need the doctors and nurses. They need to make sure that we have people who are providing the food. We need to make sure that there's janitorial service, all these things. So you brought up a good point as well, that they haven't delivered an appropriate human resource plan. So we want to make sure that as we do build our new health facility in Surrey, that we also make sure that there's an appropriate HR plan so that it can have the doctors and nurses, janitorial staff, and all the other medical technicians that it'll need to get going.
There are about 1,000 people move, or somebody told me 1,300 people move to Surrey every month. Just figure that out by 12 times a year, how many new people are coming. And obviously, they need schools, they need hospitals, they need rec facilities, they need a lot of things, right? So you just cannot do the talking and no action.
No, you have to deliver.
You need to deliver, because people have voted you in to be, and these are taxpayers' dollars, right? So
100%. So this is the thing. The NDP's made a lot of promises. but they have failed to deliver. So, I had my first week in the ledge last week. I think
Yes.
lots of people saw me on the news. I am about making sure that we're holding them to account. It's not enough to say you're going to do something. That helps no one. It's actually getting those services delivered that is going to start making a difference. Whether we're talking about healthcare or whether we're talking about affordability, crime, just announcements and lip service isn't enough. So I'm actually really enjoying the opportunity to represent the community. I've had a lot of positive feedback. People have written me, and that feels great. And
Yes.
I want to please
And you
keep
are a
writing
new
me.
MLA, just sworn in, right?
Yeah, and I want to encourage people to keep on writing me. Phone my office if there's things that what is it that you want me to continue addressing? Because I'm ready to continue to stand up and to fight for the things that the community needs, and that's my job right now as a member of the opposition. So we have to continue to hold the government to account, just as when the Liberals were in power, we had the NDP holding us to account. That's how our government functions and works. But without that constant pressure, unfortunately, it doesn't seem like much is going to get done.
When you said that healthcare was the main issue when you're knocking at the door, but crime is also an issue. When you talk about crime, I mean, I'm a news junkie, so I watch news all the time. In 1 hour time, whether it's global, it doesn't matter what TV I'm watching, about half of the time on the news is taken over by crimes or, innocent crime that crime or every day in Vancouver, that's what the stat says,
Yeah.
stranger attacks. And not just in Vancouver, but other places too. As a mental health, there is not enough housing, not enough social programs. I think we can talk all we want, but there is nothing seems to get any better.
Well, that's one of the things specifically that we spoke about in our first week in the legislature, which is addressing random attacks, addressing whether you want to call it a revolving door of justice, catch and release. People have heard us talk about that. There is a significant problem with chronic repeat offenders, or sometimes they're called prolific offenders, who are committing multiple crimes, often violent crimes, who are then released back out into the community, even though they pose a risk to public safety. So this is something that we've been pressing the government to address. There are things that this government could be doing immediately to take action on that issue. Unfortunately, once again, they've deferred, and they're saying this is all Ottawa's fault. They're going to be meeting with federal justice ministers to discuss the issue, but there, unfortunately, lack of inaction. Every time that they are not addressing this issue, we see on average 4 more random attacks just in Vancouver alone. That doesn't include what happens in Surrey, New Westminster, across our province. And so, I'm glad that they finally stopped denying there's a problem. In the beginning of this year, they denied there was even a problem. They said it was just dangerous rhetoric put out by BC Liberals. But, but then according to their own study, they could see that violent random attacks have risen. So it's not just dangerous rhetoric. These are actual dangerous activities that are happening. Finally, they've stopped being in denial. But unfortunately, their first course of action is a discussion with the federal government instead of taking immediate action, which in the legislature, our current Attorney General, Murray Rankin, had said that he could provide further direction to Crown Counsel, but he hasn't done that. So, I'm frustrated on behalf of my constituents. I think British Columbians are sick and tired of turning on the news like you and seeing innocent people attacked. Frustrated to see that people who have a serious and significant history of violent crime don't appear at least to be being held accountable. And we need to find a better balance between respecting the rights of people accused of crimes, but then they're victims. Victims have rights too. And we have to make sure that we remember that public safety is a priority, even within the reasons that a person is allowed to be kept in custody by the court. Public safety is actually a significant factor in that. So we want to make sure that is respected and that we can restore people's confidence in our justice system and make sure that they feel safe.
And I think there are so many people, they've given up on the system because they don't feel safe to go out.
Yeah.
Because they said, we don't know. I mean, this guy, and they dodge if somebody is coming. Not everybody will be attacking you, but I think we have just lost faith in humanity. That because when these kind of people are out and about in the streets, and it doesn't matter that they are supposed to check with their provision officer and all that, and some of them don't even follow anything, and they are out and about. So I think as a mother or grandmother, my kids go to school, I will be concerned as well. So, I mean, we are living in a society, it seems like anywhere you move, that we don't feel safe.
Well, you know what I would say too.
And it's not a good thing to say, I should
Oh,
not
for
be,
sure.
But sometimes I, as a woman, I feel that way too.
Well, I want to remind people too, and I'm very a tough on crime type
Yeah.
person, and
Yeah.
I want to make people feel safe. And I want to make sure that we're doing our best to look after people. But I would remind everyone that we often see a lot of publicity on a small number of events,
Yeah.
that prolific offenders within British Columbia, especially those committing violent crimes, are a small portion of the community who create a large amount of fear.
Yeah.
And that overall, our communities are safe. Surrey, you can still go out in our community. Even in Vancouver, we need to be able to. But there are some areas with this small population that are absolutely stirring up fear and absolutely causing people to feel like they are not able to go into their downtown core, not just in Vancouver, but even here in Surrey, in Kelowna, in the interior, up north, many places. But don't lose hope.
Yes.
Because you know what, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
The reason why you see me in the ledge and see my leader, Kevin Falcon, and you see the BC Liberal Caucus pushing so hard is that we can fix it.
Yeah.
And we know that this government has the power to do the things that will help keep you safe. So don't lose hope. We're going to keep fighting to make sure that we do the right thing, because everybody deserves to feel safe in their community. The residents of Surrey deserve to be able to feel safe going to SkyTrain, for example, or going to our civic library, or walking downtown in our core. And that's my goal. My goal isn't just to stir the pot and point fingers and to, be angry with the government for their lack of inaction. We also want to propose solutions and make sure that you can feel safe in the city.
Changing the subject from the crime, you are also a critic for the education
Yes.
with the Liberal Party, and you just been sworn in 3 weeks ago?
Just a week ago.
Oh, just a week ago, not even 3 weeks. So you're just feeling the water. You're just dipping your feet in the water, trying to find out what are the issues. So what are you, and the school, and always there is an issue with schools in Surrey and maybe in your riding too. There are a lot of portables, and the winter is coming, and there is no proper heating and things like that. So what I know, you are not the government in power, can make the difference, but with the NDP, we have had this issue with portables as soon as I can remember since when, but there are more and more portables coming on instead of putting the construction and building proper school. So what is your take on that?
Well, the portables have been there for a long time. In fact, even when the Liberals were in government, I have to admit that we also had portables. But in 2017, when the NDP were campaigning and were elected, they promised that they would remove the portables in Surrey. And in fact, they've actually increased portables in Surrey by 100 portables. So it's a failed promise. But, right now, some of the significant issues that are affecting our schools, and I just had some meetings up north with some stakeholders in School District 60, I believe it is. It's their ability to recruit and retain teachers. Just like a lot of sectors right now, there's labor shortages. And we want to make sure that every school district here in Surrey, of course, and across the province have the ability to retain and to hire quality educators. So, one of my priorities is to speak with BC Teachers Federation, speak with school districts, make sure that I can press the government to help them to recruit and retain quality educators so that we have great quality education for our kids. The portables and making sure that capital investments are made is also a priority for me. And since you brought up the portables, there was a lot of schools that were promised by the NDP to be built, including one in Mission, actually, a Mission secondary school that was an election promise. That they stood up and said that they would actually build that school. I believe it was 2020, they stood up and announced that, and now they've canceled that project. So, there's a lot of people out there that voted NDP because they needed a school for their kids and they believed in that promise. Now they have nothing but disappointment, and a school that I believe was built in the 50s. That is not acceptable, particularly when you make a promise. You form government based on the promise to deliver that service, and then it just turns out to be an out-and-out lie because you haven't followed through whatsoever on that. So I'm going to keep on pressing, particularly within the Ministry of Education, that schools that were promised capital investments, things like making sure that seismic upgrades, so in the event of an earthquake, that our children can be safe, that's a priority for me. I also have kids in the Surrey School District. I have two 8-year-olds and an 11-year-old. So I know what it's like. You worry about your kids. The last thing you want to worry about is that they're in a structure that might not be safe if we have a disaster. So that too is a priority for me. So there's a lot to work on in the education portfolio. I want to make sure that teachers have the resources that they need and that we can hire and retain those people, that we have, equity throughout the districts so that we don't have some districts with all the teachers and up north. They're very, very hungry for educators. It's hard. And the same across Canada, just as we have with nursing and so many other fields, but we need to work harder.
So we don't want to lose teachers. Because
we don't.
lost
And
the
it
nurses,
starts, right at the beginning. Things always start with education. Right? Whether we're talking about crime, whether we're talking about our ability to keep our community safe, whether we're looking at the future of our medical system and so much more. It all begins with kids and having a quality education. So, I'm actually just honored and I'm delighted to be able to be the education critic because I want to make sure that we're doing that we're providing quality education for kids here in BC.
Do you see she has any chance or she will be cast out or voted out with, I don't know, they are saying she has signed up the members that are not legit. That's another political thing.
Well, I have actually had a discussion about this in the media before. I put out a news release.
I read that.
And part of it is that I feel it's disappointing to see, whether or not her and I share political ideologies
you're
or not.
sitting on the different side.
We're both women in politics, and I think that we, at a time when we're looking for diversity and things within our political landscape as a whole, it's sad and disappointing. To see a woman being pushed out, particularly because I do think it's a hypocrisy.
Yes.
Because, we've had other campaigns that we've witnessed in the NDP. There was Mabel Elmore, who's a sitting MLA at one point, was accused of stapling $10 bills to memberships for Adrian Dix when he ran for leadership. There was even a video of it. There was no, there was proof that she did it, but there wasn't this big of a push to have a disqualification like there is with Anjali Appadurai.
Because I think she's a threat, and that's why. Why would you do that?
They haven't come out to say that she doesn't share their ideology, and that's because they're talking out of both sides of their mouths. They want to show that they are strong on the environment, but at the same time, they're trying to push a very strong environmentalist out of their leadership race. I think that that's a different story than just talking about whether or not there was cheating involved, because we've seen in the past that they were perfectly fine with cheating. So, just as a woman in politics and, knowing that it's not always easy, there are different barriers and hurdles that you do have to go through as a woman. It is still typically a man's sort of playground. And I feel lucky to be a part of that and to sort of make more of a welcoming place for all kinds of people. But it's disappointing, I think, to see that likely Anjali Appadurai will be eliminated from that contest.
Yes. And become a cakewalk for him. Anyways, congratulations
Thank
to
you.
me.
Always a pleasure to be
and
here.
And always, I really hope this is your thing.
I'll come back. I'll come back.
in
for
here.
Sure.
Anytime you have any issues, please come in. We will chat.
Absolutely.
And thank you.
Thank you, Camilla.
Thank you, MLA Struco. Now it's time to announce the upcoming events. Fundraising for Christmas. This Christmas fundraising is taking place on December 9th at Royal Banquet Hall at Burnaby at 7845 Edmund Street. Doors open at 6:30 p.m. For tickets and for more information, call Nia at 604-603-4684 or Jose Chauhan at 779-892-7388. The proceeds from this year's fundraising will go to Moving Forward Counseling Services Society. Canadian Empowered Women of Fiji Foundation presents 2022 Christmas Dinner and Dance on December 2nd, 2022 at Kanna Banquet Hall in Surrey. Please bring an unwrapped toy for the toy drive. All toys collected will be donated to BC Children's Hospital Foundation. For tickets and more information, please call 604-825-8261 or 604-831-0240. Another charity event, Women Only event, is taking place on December 12th from 11 a.m. until 3 p.m. at Grand Taj Banquet Hall in Surrey. Tickets are only $35 and the address is 8388 128th Street in Surrey. For more information, please call Asian Pulse team at 604-537-5123, and this event is sponsored by Asian Pulse TV. Sahas Community Services Society. It provides a helpline for people who are in crisis and want to talk to someone. They offer critical support, information, and resources for individuals and families in need. The number is 604-900-9221. Everything will be kept confidential. If you have any events coming up in your community and you would like us to promote it, please send it to asianpulse@gmail.com. If you wish to support us or our show as being a sponsor, please contact Kamila Singh at 604-537-5123 or email us asianpulse@gmail.com. If you missed our show today, you can watch it again on Thursday at 8:30 p.m. and Saturday at 5:30 p.m. on Channel 4 and Channel 10 in Calgary. You can also watch our show on YouTube channel by searching Asian Pulse TV. Please don't miss subscribing and liking our page. Now, before I go, I will leave you with these thoughts. Do not spoil what you have by desiring what you have not. Remember that what you have now was once among the things you only hoped for. Thanks for spending part of your day with me. I'm your host Manbir Randhawa. Stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll see you next week.